It feels like sometimes that Battlefield 5 is a difficult game to love. Now, I really have enjoyed Battlefield on the whole. Battlefield 5 for me is a great title that I've really enjoyed playing in terms of gunplay and key mechanics. But there is this one thing that just keeps coming up and coming up and coming up, and today I feel like I had to talk about it. And that is, of course, the patches. Every single time there has been a patch with Battlefield 5, it honestly feels like they're breaking more than they're fixing. Now, in the modern gaming standards of things, patches are expected to cause some problems, but not to the extent that they're causing at the moment, and I really feel like that today, this discussion needs to be had. Now, I want to say that this isn't supposed to be a hate-related video, or like a down and depressing kind of video, but ultimately, I feel like from a constructive standpoint, there needs to be a discussion about how the state of these patches are being released into Battlefield 5, and really, I want to know how things just keep going drastically wrong. Now, I've never claimed to be a developer. I do like to think that I have the odd idea that would be cool, but other than that, in terms of work hours, in terms of the complications of Frostbite, there is something from an individual standpoint, be you a YouTuber or an individual player, that you will simply never understand. And, you know, this isn't supposed to be a closet armchair development video. It's not supposed to be me saying, well, this bug should have been easily patched out XYZ ago. I think this is rather just discussing Battlefield 5 in the context of a AAA game that has been released for a full price that has been out for months now. It's, 6 or 7 months into its life cycle, and in my opinion at this point, in any given AAA title, regardless of where it's come from, you should not be getting the kind of bugs that Battlefield 5 has bestowed upon itself. And I'm going to go into a bit more detail about this now. So heading into this patch, I think there were two major issues that people were concerned with. The first one being the stuttering and performance that some people have experienced in Battlefield, be it on all platforms, and the second one definitely being the sound of planes coming out of trees, which has arguably been one of the most frustrated ones there. Now, that has been fixed, the latter of course, but the first one, including performance and stuttering, if anything, has actually gone significantly worse since this patch. It seems like every time they update the game, whether you're on PlayStation, Xbox or PC, people are experiencing lots of variances of problems that seem to just keep coming up in the game. Now, I'm led to believe that most of this is being caused by the assignments in Battlefield 5, and for those of you who remember, a similar issue actually happened in Battlefield 1, and it was to do with the assignments and how it was interacting with the game, causing performance issues. Now, for the most part, if you don't have any assignments selected on console, you actually don't really notice many major issues. However, when things actually happen to take place, especially for Tides of War challenges, it gets incredibly frustrating. And even just on PC, with the build that I have, which bearing in mind is about a £3,000, $4,000 PC build, we're talking about huge performance issues. And no, that's not just like a weird flex, I have a PlayStation 4 Pro and I do have a really good PC, and you just don't expect these kinds of problems on a AAA title 6 months down the line from launch. Now, what really bothers me about this is, although they seem to say that they've made some progress on this bug, the issue is that, we're talking a good little while until we see another fix for this, and anybody who buys the game between now and when this is completely fixed is just going to see this absolute mess of a game that they're not going to want to play in any shape or form. If I were to pick up a game that had been released for a couple of months and see these performance issues, considering it's a AAA title, there just would be zero faith in my opinion. And beyond that, let's talk about a few things that have been existing for a while now. For example, the end of round company coin bug took 4 months to fix. The last Tiger skin bug took 5 months, and the tank black screen on Zoom is still waiting for a fix. And from the outside in, you can see why people are upset, and from the inside even, you can see why people are upset. When there are issues with skins that were elites that should be bought with boins, but are bought with company coins because of bugs, those things are seemingly fixed on the back end instantaneously to stop money being leaked. But for actual real problems, it seems that sometimes it can take months to complete. Now, I appreciate that changing currency values is certainly something that's a lot easier for the DICE developers than fixing some of the other bugs, but you can see why for a lot of the majority of the community, that feels like a kick in the teeth. When you've seen an elite skin go on sale for company coins, then all of a sudden it's ripped away from you and said, actually, no, you have to use a premium currency for this. But other bugs that have been in the game for ages that have frustrated you for a very long time, or new bugs that have appeared in the patch, take a lot of time. It's a huge problem. Like, it does genuinely pose a question as to, A, why are some of these bugs existing in these patches, and what level of QA is being done on them, and B, why, when these issues come up, is there not a better solution to this? For example, if you accidentally release something that is for a premium currency that is available with company coins, just leave it there. Don't rip it away from people in the space of an hour or two, claim that it was a mistake, and then just let the internet catch fire. It's such a seemingly horrible way of dealing with a bad situation. And what makes it worse is that there are so many people, and I see it a lot on Reddit and the forums as well, that really want to love this game, but when little mistakes like something as simple as company coins and buoyants being miscalculated or misrepresented are put in the game, it shows a certain level of incompetence or inadequacy towards the patches that we're being received. And lots of people feel that way, and for the most part, when stuff like that gets taken away from them, it honestly feels like you're just spitting on an open wound, or something along the lines of that. It's not an experience that I think anybody enjoys from the community whatsoever. Moving on from that, at the moment we still have performance issues, stuttering issues, frame rate drop issues, people falling onto maps, we have improper textures and texture loading issues, we have things like Minecraft level trees that appear in front of us due to some of these loading issues, we have rocks that are somehow bulletproof and trees and bushes that are bulletproof, invisible soldiers which have now reappeared in this patch, incorrect damage outputs being shown by weapons which is obviously a core component of the game, issues with assignments as well as the issues with the poor kill card at the moment, which doesn't really represent where you were killed in any sense of the word, a mini-map which doesn't show crates in terms of people needing to heal, no MVP players at the end of rounds, which has been a previous feature from lots of different games, being unable to join friends in a server if they're in a full squad, enemies spawning on other enemies even though you are actively shooting at them at the time, and issues like headshot sounds that don't actually count as headshots when you get a kill. So there are so many problems and so many generic issues, some of which are more serious than others, especially stuff like improperly showing the amount of damage you've done on a screen. These are the kinds of problems that, for the most part, are going to stop people from playing the game, especially considering its core components of the shooter experience that is really the major issue here. We're also having things like spec trees for planes and tanks not working. We've got the tank shaking view when you're in a flat area without moving. You've got the black screen when you zoom in. You just have lots of issues with gunners when they're bugged in terms of both the graphical rendering of the machine gun and the bullets sometimes not even counting for actual damage. And there seems to be a new issue now with planes as well, where machine guns and hitting planes doesn't count either a hitbox issue or some kind of detection issue with damage. And I really got to say, you know, this is one of those things where I consider myself to be a player who really enjoys this game and consider myself to be a player that loves the Battlefield franchise. But I don't think we've seen this level of failure with updates in a long time in the Battlefield franchise, since the days of Battlefield 4. Now, there were lots of issues in Battlefield 1, but they got stomped relatively quickly, and it felt like the game for the most part was always in a pretty good stable state. That just doesn't seem to be the case here in Battlefield 5 at all, and it feels like we're actually heading towards the earlier stages of Battlefield 4, where every issue would just break something else. There are even stuff like V1s being caught on minor bushes or little leaves in front of you and completely missing their targets, or some that even just fly off the map for no apparent reason. There are lots of issues with this, you know, and I've been in gaming and Battlefield for a long time here, and I really just feel as though, as complex and difficult and as slow as some of this stuff works, we just expect more. We expect a little bit more consistency and a little bit more competence from a AAA developer who we've known for years. Now, again, this isn't me directly attacking anybody at DICE or just saying, you know, giving some kind of opinion as a backseat developer, because I do appreciate that sometimes something as simple as a black screen when a tank zooms in can actually be a very complex matter that would take a very long time to deal with. And I totally understand that. And I totally understand that some of that stuff has to go through layers and layers of QA to make sure it's definitely working. But at the moment, whatever it is, something just isn't ticking and something just isn't right over there, because it feels as though every time we have a new patch, it's the same thing. And this is a tweet from Flakfire that I think summarized the problem pretty well. Every time you open the top of the tin, there's just another layer of tin, because there's just more problems. There's more things that have gone into this development patch that have caused more issues. And everything just makes it so difficult. You know, I've played this game for hundreds of hours now, and the gunplay in Time to Kill are one of my favorite in Battlefield. But with the amount of stuttering problems I'm having and the amount of issues in game, it's really deterring me from making content and really deterring me from just playing the game casually in an enjoyable manner. So troops, let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you again soon in another video.